So good evening everyone. We're going to be doing some rescue training for the month of May. Since we had our training in April, I didn't put anything out. We'll basically be doing things on this particular month for just change of directions. So sometimes your rig, when you set it up, it may not be in a straight line. Optimally, you would like to have your rescue system all in a straight line, but in many times you're not able to do that. Maybe because where the situation is, maybe where the patient is, you'll have to run a couple change of directions. So learning to run with those pulleys for change of directions, you may have to worry about chafing against certain sharp objects. So we're going to try to avoid that in this. If you want to possibly, in any circumstance, be able to avoid that, just for the simple fact is it creates more friction. And anytime you create more friction when you're trying to do lifting, that's going to cause stress on the rope. It's going to cause you more tension. So we're going to look at this, then we'll also go over a quick trucker's hitch. So for this month of May, we want you as crews to set up your own system with a change of direction and see how it works. Just be creative on how you want to set it up and the different ways you can set it up, but we'll walk through it now. So I already set one particular system up, and we'll walk through what I set up, and you can use this as an example. So here we are. We'll say that this is the patient or the load, and we'll walk from the load on back, and I'll show you everything that I did. Again, figure 8 on a bite to the carabiner, that's the load. We're running up here to the truck. So just imagine if you had, that was your only high point, but you couldn't do your rescue on this side of where the load was, and maybe you had to do your mechanical advantage on the other side. This is your high point here. So we'll look at a couple of change of directions. I'll bring you up here to the top of the truck. So as you can see, coming up through here, I have a change of direction with this pulley. If you notice, I snugged up as much on the webbing as possible to create, there's very little clearance up here, but you see it's not rubbing against anything. So that's the key, is using your webbing. Maybe you have to snug up as much as possible to make less slack. As you see, this goes across, and I do the same thing here, snug up on it as much as I can. I ran a piece of webbing that direction, so that keeps the webbing from sliding this direction. Still keeps it in line. Running pretty close to that basket, but it's still not rubbing. So there are times maybe you cannot get around rubbing, and that's when we have some of our LDHOs that we can put in place. But if you can help it, you don't want to rub. So you have two change of directions up here, creating a high point, which then goes down. So then we'll walk down, we'll take a look at that. So as you see, it comes down from there, and then we create an anchor point underneath here. So again, another change of direction. Really, you can help it. Try not to keep metal against metal. I could have pulled this out a little bit further. That's anchored to a point underneath. When you're looking at these change of directions, just make sure the rope isn't side loading. You don't want to side load this part because this isn't really rated for the load, so you want it along the pulley. So these are swivel, which is kind of nice, so they'll move to where how the tension is on the rope, so which is a key there. But when you cinch this up and tighten it up, you can see it's aligned with the pulley. All right, I just put the double pulley in there just to put it in there for right now. When you start doing a lot of change of directions, you have to worry about pulleys. That's when you're going to start running out of stuff. So as you can see, it runs all the way back here to our anchor point. So had it anchored to the front suction, to collector plate, and then you have the MPD, and then it runs all the way there. So this is where you would do your 3-to-1 or your 5-to-1 and see all the working space you would have. You would have all this space that's level. One of the problems that people don't think about is sometimes when they create a system really close, or they create the system that goes up. Well, if you have to reset and your mechanical advantage and so forth is along this rope, the problem is with height, there will be only so far that you can reach to reset that pressix. If your pressix is here, then you have to come back down. So that really limits your amount of working space. If you had your mechanical advantage just off of there and you were working it there, it doesn't give you a lot of room to work. So by creating and putting this pulley in place, it's change of direction, run it straight across, that's level, it makes it very easy, and see how long that rope is for you to run. So your resets on your 3-to-1 or 5-to-1 are a lot smaller, because, or I should say less, because you have a longer run to use to reset. You do have to worry about rope, but you shouldn't. I mean, this is a 100-foot rope. If you had a really long rescue, then you may have to worry about rope, or you may have to connect a few ropes together. But see the advantage of how long that is? And it gives you a great pull. You can put people way over here. They may not see the load, but that's where you have to have an edge person. That edge person would have to be at the top there, at the high point, giving the calls, since they can oversee everything. There are times the people that are pulling or on the safety may not see the load, so you definitely have to have a person in place to check that. So that will be your challenge this time around. We're going to go over a quick trucker's hitch. So this is just going to just put it in here just to show it, but you're going to put an inline 8 in your rope. Back here a little bit. So your inline 8 is going to go towards that direction, wherever you want to tie off to. And again, it's not for this system, but I'm just putting it in here since it's already connected. You'll run it around something. What you're going to do is come back through this hole, and you can use it to help tension it. Like a lot of people said, I don't know if you guys that been to rescue training, people use it for garbage or tying stuff down. It's pretty quick and easy. So what you would do is pull there, create the tension. Once you get as much tension as you want to grab and pinch that there and hold that. See if you can see that. So pinch and hold that where that loop is. Okay, so if you see where that loop is, I'm pulling and I'm pinching it. After I pinch that, I'm just going to come over, half hitch, and come back and cinch it out where that knot is. Hold that secondary knot, another half hitch, come through, knot that, secure that, and then there you go. You have your trucker's hitch. So pretty easy. Again, this is just the system I put up. I put this trucker's hitch in just to show you. We did that in rescue training this last time around. I kind of remembered the knot, but I had to go back over it myself. It had been a while since I tied it. So I will probably put a link to show everybody how that's tied again, but I'll go one more time. One more time. So put your inline 8 in, and put the tail in, which is the tail that just happens to have a loop in it because it's connected to the bag. I'm gonna run it through there, and then I'm gonna pull. Whatever I'm trying to tighten, I'm tightening the load down, I'm trying to tighten, I'm using a tent or something, I'm trying to create some shelter, and I want a tight line going across some trees, a hammock, whatever it may be, I can tighten that up. Let's see how sorry. My tripod is falling down. Okay, so I tighten, if you guys can see. I'm gonna pinch that right there. That's where the tension is. Just gonna do a pitch there. Come through, come back to where I'm pinched, tighten it, hold that, do it again. Cinch it down, boom. Then I'm set. So again, half hitch, 2 half hitches, right there. Figure 8. Use that tensioning. So just to go back and look at the system, anchor point, collector plate, MPD. This would be your system going up. You had 3 change of directions in there, and then you had the load. So again, this is just May's training, putting it together. I'll put a link on how to tie a trucker's hitch inside our training for this week or this month coming up, and then also just go over change of directions. Again, sometimes your inline rescue is not always the case. I mean, we know we have platforms up on the columns that there may be not enough room to work on, or maybe the person's on the side of a column and it may not be a straight pull. So learning to use those change of directions and getting away from the friction running across stuff, being very creative. So have your crews look at that, put the forms for everybody to sign for training, and see you next month.